South Africa is easily one of the most corrupt countries in the world and one of the most violent countries in the world. But the corruption is absolutely everywhere and citizens face it on a daily basis from almost all facets of the state, from municipal level to that corrupt police officer or traffic official, to that person at Home Affairs that takes bribes, to that person at the border that looks the other way for a few $100. South Africa is really, really stinking and rotten with corruption. It's also in the private sector. Our private sector really isn't that much better because, well, they've learned from the politicians and the deployed cadres. They are absolutely masters of corruption, even at a very high level, like we've seen with the auditing firms that were in on it on state capture. These are not good actors. These are nefarious actors, some of these companies, and that's the culture within the bigger, more professional, more audited organizations. You can imagine what the smaller fish are doing. But we need to talk about the horizons of corruption. And I think that most South Africans are starting to become aware now. They're just waking up to how widespread and broad that political corruption is, that mafia state level corruption. We're seeing it with the Zondo Commission, we saw it with the Zondo Commission, and we are really seeing it with the Madlanga Commission. That man broke open a can of worms. But it's important for South Africans to understand that the corruption that we're seeing at the Madlanga Commission is just opening up the mid to sort of higher level stuff. South Africans need to understand just how broad political corruption and mafia state corruption is in South Africa. I implore everybody to read Mike Reddy's book where he picks apart Julius Malema. I implore everybody to read Jeff Wick's book on Babita Deokaran. Watch Gold Mafia documentary. Look at the articles on the assassination of Franz Mathibela. We are seeing flak plus level use of special forces soldiers and police and private security actors and intelligence networks to do the bidding of corrupt politicians. This is just as bad in many senses, not in all senses, but in some senses at least, as during the apartheid era. It's South Africa's modern era flak plus moment. Not only do we have police and special forces and intelligence networks that are now doing the bidding of mafia, political elite, and of gangs and cartels and that sort of thing, it's important to understand that they are just part of a global network. And these guys work together. They're sophisticated. Now, I've been threatened with harm and lawsuits and all kinds of things for speaking about this, but I think it's really important to start drawing some of these dots and connecting them. First, you need to understand that all these cartels actually work together. They're part of the same ecosystem, almost like a business ecosystem. Let me give you one example. You'll get a network, just as an example, that will hire or hijack a luxury vehicle in South Africa, and they'll drive it across the borders to a neighboring country. There, they'll swap it out for, let's say, illicit tobacco. They won't get paid in cash. They'll get a ton of illegal cigarettes, as an example. Those cigarettes will then come back across South Africa's border or to another neighboring Southern African country where they may be swapped out for something like pharmacological input products, where they can change that kind of thing into street drugs, things like tick. That then gets sold locally into the market at much higher margins because of the trade ecosystem, and some of it gets exported. But it's to understand that all of these guys are working together, and the one thing that they need is they need a system where they can trade finances and they can take the money from that illicit trade and they can move it overseas. I have been threatened at length for talking about this, but it is out there in the public and you need to watch Gold Mafia documentary. This is real. What is happening to all the Zama gold in South Africa and its neighboring regions? That gold has to go somewhere. And what is happening is all the money from all the cartels and all the illicit flows of cash are eventually finding their way into a Zama gold ecosystem, where that gold is then moved into international markets. It's very, very easy to liquidate. And that money then becomes an asset, a movable asset that these nefarious cartels can access in different regions of the world Just as an example, you take gold out of South Africa, you move it to the Middle East, it gets sold in dollars, and those dollars then get paid out to anywhere in the world. Our politicians are involved in this. There is no doubt about it. They are part of this network, and this is not just a South African thing. This is a global network. It runs across many countries, and many corrupt politicians in different countries are part of this. At least several Southern African countries and some in the Middle East. This is not going away, and I think we are just starting to see the tip of the iceberg with the McLunger Commission, and I hope that they keep going. I recommend everybody to go out there and read those investigative journalist masterpieces that have come out in the last couple of years, or certainly in the last year or two. Jeff Wicks, Micah Reddy, look into the Franz Matipa case, and watch Gold Mafia documentary just as a start, before you start saying that I'm a conspiracy theory nut. This is some dangerous stuff, and some of the people that have been involved, even at the lower levels of this, have found themselves on the receiving end of some very dangerous people. I think that South Africans need to watch this very closely. Our political elite is far more rotten than we think, and I would go as far as saying that Cyril Ramaphosa, our current president, has reigned and ruled and seen all of this right from its genesis. He was part of the Carter Deployment Committee, or head of the Carter Deployment Committee under Jacob Zuma. He was that guy putting corrupt people in their places to take control of these wealth extraction networks. He's well connected to all of these people, and he's never spoken out against any of it. I think that the president's office is deeply tainted, and that the ANC at this point cannot be rescued, or they certainly can't rescue themselves. And not only that, but there's a bunch of other political parties and a lot of other members of the political elite in various other factions of society that are also involved in this. We need to watch this very closely. If you think this has been worth watching, please share the content. Thank you for your time. I'm Aidan Brown. Bye for now.